I do want to ask, because I like to write and I want to learn how better. And what fascinates me is in Robot and Frank, we talked about this quickly off screen, and it's not a comedy, but it kind of felt like it was to me. And I was laughing and I was smiling, and at the same time, can you describe how you feel when you mix sort of genres and how you build tension and also are willing to have the levity that doesn't take away from the tension? Because to me, it was to the T.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that the kind of writing I do, the humor, like you say, like you don't want to ruin the tension. I don't feel like the kind of humor in Robot and Frank or in my writing, those jokes don't like cut the tension. It's not like, oh, ha ha ha, like everything's fine now, or relief. It's just like the characters are funny, or they're being stodgy or whatever, but the situation is still tense. And I just kind of learned that I just tend to be a little silly when I'm writing. I like to have the characters kind of surprise me and say something weird, because it just kind of entertains me as I'm writing. I think that's where the humor comes through me. And actually, a lot of times, like when we would screen Robot and Frank, people would be laughing like way more than I thought. And it wasn't like, good job, me, like I good at jokes. Like it wasn't really going for a lot of laughs, but it's just people were enjoying the characters. So I was like, I'm really happy.
I think that's what it is. When I watched Robot and Frank, the characters meant so much that their foibles made me smile. That was even when I wasn't laughing, I was smiling watching the interactions.
Well, that's awesome, because like I want the characters to seem like real people, and what makes you laugh in real life is your friends, and like, oh, like my friend did that thing he always does. It's like you're laughing because they're so them.
Yeah.
And that if you can get characters to be like that, like then you're going in the right direction.
Most heartfelt robot. And actually, let me ask you about the robot.
Yeah.
What were you thinking about when you wrote the robot character? How much realism as a human did you want to give it, and how much robotic did you want?
I mean, science fiction, and I figured if the robot can like walk around and like do all this and like take care of someone, that it would be able to like have a normal conversation that seemed normal. But for the character of the robot, I never cross a line where he like comes to life or like short circuit or something. Right. And so actually that was a really easy character to write, because he was just robotic. Like I knew his motivation, like keep his owner healthy, and so everything he does, everything he says is just part of that program. And like in a way, like all characters are like robots because they're not real people. They're just like following the will of the writer, following their program, like their motivation or whatever. But the robot is like stripped down to just like, I'm a robot.
That's great. Let me ask you about, so you've done 2 Sundance films.
Yes.
So you made major Sundance films, and again, not that there is a minor Sundance film, but these are very good Sundance films. And
thank you.
Do you plan to do more at Sundance? Do you see this, or do you see any maybe different outlets in the future?
No, I mean, Sundance is fantastic. I mean, so far I've had really good success. It's a good place to, you go out, you make your movie, you and the producers, like, we all believe in this thing, and then to be able to bring it to a place that's both artistically supportive and is also like, like a marketplace, and you can then find a future home for the movie, and everyone can get paid, so you keep doing it. It's working great so far. I mean, I don't know anywhere else we would have the same kind of success.
And it seems like you have a very good team with, I think, a director and producer. You've worked with similar ones, or the same ones?
Yeah. Alicia Vancouvering and Cody Ryder. Cody was on Robot Frank, and Alicia has like a ton of experience bringing a lot of movies to Sundance.
So you keep the team together?
Yeah. I mean that's, and that was something that came out of that panel too. The idea of, as a writer, finding a producer who gets you and likes your writing, and is someone who will defend the project as they're pushing it forward. They can get excited about it, and they bring their different skill set. Like a producer gets excited about like producing ideas, like, oh, I can produce it this way, and you find someone who's passionate, and then those relationships are all that matter.
How close was, for both Robert and Frank and Cop Car, how close was the, say, final draft and the shooting script, like what actually showed up?
Oh, you mean, what do you mean by the shooting script? You mean like what we're doing on set?
I guess,
or like when the movie's done?
Well, actually both. Can we do them?
Well, it's funny, with movies like these where we have a really small budget and we're shooting them really fast, like we don't actually have that much leeway. We have to kind of have it figured out, and so not that much has changed in the end. Like, I also noticed that a lot of the Sundance movies, like, they're all like a good short length. There's no like 2-hour epics, because like no one has enough money to shoot for that long. So there's definitely always changes. you find things in the moment on the set, or like you realize that this scene you could chop off at the end, but we really are so conscious of the resources that we have to expend that we really have to focus still when we're still writing on not having any